Hey guys out there in the Geekverse, it is I, Taylor Field, coming at you, and wow, what this is gonna be great. I got a quick little movie review. I don't even know if you call it a movie. It's part one, episode one. So essentially, there's gonna be more. But what I'm gonna be talking about today, ladies and gentlemen, is the Netflix original Godzilla anime, King of the Monsters. So, I love Godzilla. I'm a huge fan. I actually have a steel case Godzilla for the movie. I also have King Kong Skull Island. I love that crossover, and a big anticipation for that King Kong versus Godzilla. And I love the older flicks too, and the games, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla Save the Earth. It's fantastic. So, huge Godzilla fan. I had no idea that this was actually in the works. This anime coming to Netflix. So, when I saw that there's a trailer for it, I had to the trailer looks pretty good. I'm not sure what to expect. The Toho monsters are fantastic, and I didn't know at first if he was attached to the project or not, but apparently he is. At least his stories and everything that he created, obviously. So, that being said, when this was released onto Netflix, coincidentally, I had a little bit of free time, and I thought, I want to watch this. Put it on, and right away, I won't get into spoilers for this first little bit. This is my non-spoilers intro here, but right away, when you're watching something, I think for most people, it's very obvious within the first 3 to 5 minutes that, okay, this is something that I really like, or I really am just not digging it, not down for this. So, that being said, the first 30 seconds to 5 minutes, I was sucked right into this show. It totally, the story and the way it kickstarted was wow, this is intense, and I was actually very much afraid of Godzilla and how they portrayed him in this. I think I love the classic roar. I love that they keep to that, and his design too, the anime. I loved how the animation looked, and I loved how it the art style was very, very attractive and intriguing, and how that played off with Godzilla. I loved it very, very much. But essentially, this movie, it laid down the proper foundations of establishing itself as a very good introduction for people that are, maybe they're not fan of the Godzilla movie or that sort of thing, but they're a fan in a different way, or just fans that aren't Godzilla fans at all. They're anime fans. It creates a whole new kind of open market for other people to come into this kind of fan base. And I think that this movie, at least for me, it was very good. It was very entertaining, and I really recommend it. So, moving into spoilers, this movie kickstarts with humanity literally on the verge of evacuating the Earth. They're at a peak prime at the end of the 20th century, and all of a sudden monsters start popping out. You see that they make nods to Hedorah and Orga and all these other characters, and then they finally build up to the big one, Godzilla, and he is. You see, their attacks and defenses against the other monsters are successful, but Godzilla doesn't work, and they end up trying all these different methods of trying to kill him and everything. It's not working. And, aliens have always been a part of Godzilla in some manner, so I loved seeing that connection, the aliens coming down, but not just the generic, we are, we're gonna dominate and take over, but aliens that were looking for a mutual beneficial arrangement and setting up terms to progress with humanity on that. And so it was cool for these aliens to come down and see Godzilla, try and figure it out, and ultimately the only end result was they had to evacuate the Earth. And that part leading up to when the main character, what was his name? Sakura, I think Socorro, Commander Socorro, was being evacuated when he was a little boy with his grandpa, and you just see Godzilla way in the distance coming to the airport when they're launching these spaceships, and it just think, wow, that's terrifying. This is like on the entire planet, some of the last human beings, and they're evacuating this planet, and there's this giant thing coming in really fast, and he's primed and ready to go. And this, if for this anime, it really really built up like a I don't want to say anxiety, but like a fear of anticipation and excitement of like what's gonna happen, and it delivered. I mean, Godzilla just starts blowing up the ships, and I mean, some of them escape, and it just think, wow, like it's just one of those moments where you think like, wow, I just can't believe it. Like you take off and you launch and you just sit back in your chair and think, wow, I just made my flight. Can't believe it. Except this flight has a mother fudging Godzilla outside of it. So, that being said, I think it did a fantastic job doing that whole intro, and picking up with the grandson now being older and being he ends up getting arrested actually, because he doesn't like where humanity is going, and kind of humans going to like try and colonize planets, but it never doesn't succeed. The planets aren't habitable, and 20 years in space, and humanity has all been on this spaceship with these other aliens, which look human, but they aren't. And so time goes by, 20 years for them wandering through space, traveling light years and everything, equaled out to about 1,000 years on Earth. So, when humanity just realizes, like, we're going to have to go back to Earth, we've got no other options, they go back to Earth, and, I mean, it looks gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's Mother Earth, oof, come on, it's a fantastic place to live, So, they go there, and they send out drones. Drones go out scanning, and they realize that, oh, wow, we have been away from the Earth a lot longer than 1,000 years, we've been away for 10,000 years. So, drones are going around, then they all of a sudden, they think Godzilla is probably dead, but then they detect movement, and then one of their drones gets destroyed. Same energy beams as the Godzilla had. So, they come up with a plan, they bail Sakura out, and he helps guide, offering insight and information to a team to go down and exterminate Godzilla. He actually managed to determine a weakness in Godzilla. So, he ends up taking about 600 people? Yeah. And it was a little hesitant at first, but he takes 600 people, goes down to the surface, and it just, shit goes downhill right away. They end up establishing themselves, though, pretty well. They get, like, proper gear, and they have awesome weaponry and tanks. It's super cool. And they get attacked by these dragons all of a sudden, and the dragons almost, they confirm that these dragons are actually like part of the Godzilla family tree, the lineage, but obviously aren't Godzillas themselves. So once those were eliminated, they proceeded to go about their mission, and it's just those moments where the ships are moving and you see Godzilla out in the distance approaching them, and even though he's not moving his upper body, he's like this. It's still very scary, because this is a huge monster coming at them, and it's just, it does that, again, like I mentioned earlier, it builds up that anticipation, and so the characters basically, most of their ships get destroyed, but they end up applying the weakness and their strategy, and they eventually get to Godzilla, and when they manage to overpower him and take him down, it sets up like, oh, okay, this is great, like, we were able to defeat Godzilla, but then they show little nods in regards to, like, maybe this is a different Godzilla, maybe this is, maybe it reproduced or something. They come to learn that they actually were just shy of 20,000 years being away from the Earth. And, I mean, at this point, like, when you look at the Earth, like, the Earth has totally changed. Some planets are completely sharp as rock, like, sharp as a knife, hard as rock. The whole world is just completely adapted and changed, but at the same time, parts of it is still, like, formed for humanity in a way. And I think that was very cool. one thing I do hope to see, and I mean, I'm glad that we didn't get to see any other of the Toho monsters and Godzilla enemies, because that would take away from Godzilla's introduction into this new episodic series. And for an episode, it being like just around like an hour and a half, I loved how long it was. I was very disappointed with how short I felt like it was too. Like it was very long in a good way, but then when it ended, I felt like it was very short in a bad way. I wanted more so very badly. And so after when Godzilla is killed, which was an epic fight scene, they're all cheering. Literally the mountain starts to explode in front of them, and then you see this super gigantic Godzilla. I mean, he's huge. And it just makes me wonder, okay, like, how does that connect to this little Godzilla? Now, like, what was the story? And this big Godzilla is primed. Like, he dishes it out on these survivors. And you just feel bad because this is the last of humanity trying to fight and just get their home back. But it's incredible. But I feel like, with all the little hints and Easter eggs they drop throughout the film, I feel like we're going to get to see, like, Mechagodzilla play an appearance here. And this one's for Dylan, but I know he wants to see some Jet Jaguar. I am down for Jet Jaguar. I hope he makes a shot in this. It's definitely something I hope they play it off well. And I hope that where they go with the sequel, that they don't shaft Godzilla, because even though it was not the same Godzilla that died and it was a different one and all that, they definitely, it came off as that all these Godzillas, even though they're different creatures, that they're all one and the same together, and that Godzilla himself is immortal. And I really liked how that felt. It went way up there with how Godzilla felt to be like scary and dominant, and just that this was his planet and nothing was going to change that. But for a Netflix original, I was just very much I was very surprised, because I feel like a lot of the Netflix originals lately have been a little bit below the bar. But this definitely did a very good job, and I am so excited to see what comes next, and I hope we get it very soon, because I mean it's day one and I've already watched it, so. But that being said, the artwork is very great. The scenery of how they designed it, the landscapes, and just the visuals too, the way they played with the lighting and the way they played with the colors, and just the aura that everything had, from like the technology to the characters to the creatures. It was absolutely fantastic, and I loved it. I think that this is a great addition to the Godzilla franchise, like all the different kind of stories, lore, and this was a direction that they took that I think was fantastic. As I said, like, I love Godzilla. I think he's a super cool, like, the Godzilla I know and love is a friendly guy, and he's not gonna step on that school bus. He's gonna pick it up and he's gonna bring it to school so the kids can go learn. And this obviously is a completely different Godzilla, and I like getting that different take. I like getting a different iteration of things, and this show gave me that. So I really recommend you go and see this. Yeah, so if you like it or not, let me know in the comments how you feel about it. I definitely look forward to part 2 when that comes out. I guarantee I'm going to be dishing out a quick little review for that when it drops. So I hope you enjoyed this. Until next time, we got lots of good content coming out. We got Gauntlet coming out soon this month, and we got tons more amazing content. So be sure to check us out at Podbay. Podbay is the best. But most importantly, we want to check us out on Patreon. Want to get episodes early, like Marvel retrospectives. Check us out on there, and definitely Facebook, Geekverse Podcast in the search bar. Twitter, Geekverse Cast. We also have geekversepodcast.com. We're everywhere. YouTube, SoundCloud, all over the place. So be sure to check us out. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you in the search bar.